287-0971. Call the office at 572-0383 or 572-0215. Rev-Up St. Lucia, the alpha of radio.
What's on My Mind is brought to you with the compliments of La Place Salazon, Lazarus Funeral Home, Susie's Variety, and Europa.
Ho, ho, ho. I had a dream that I, Santa, will be giving away amazing gifts this Christmas at Europa Hardware in Massat Grosile. I saw a Karcher pressure washer, a vacuum cleaner, steel brush cutters, Metabo power tools, even a welding machine, tile cutter, and Leo water pump. Just spend $500 or more between now and December 19, 2025. And your name and number goes into the box to be drawn. Christmas couldn't be better. Only Europa is making things so merry. Ho, ho, ho. It's not a dream, it's a fact. Shop at Europa Hardware. Call us at 452-0763. Europa, we service what we sell.
You are the guru of groceries. You have a heightened awareness for lower prices. You journey to find freshness and variety and quality brands, and you have an acquired taste for specialty items. You want to set a good example for your followers. And that's why your higher calling is Susie's Variety Store. 2 stores that beat the giants on pricing, variety, and quality. Susie's Variety, small store, big love. Located in Cantonment, Vieux Fort, and Bois d'Orange, Grosier. Telephone 458-4161.
There is only one option when they arrive. Our services will make the dead look alive. With Bouteille and Beaufort accessibility. Remember, we have the only private cemetery. No one can match our prices from coffins to corsage. Personalized service you get when Lazarus take charge. Quality service, no package to make your wallet bleed. Lazarus is your true friend in your time of need.
It's delicious.
La Place Salazon is the true home of quality meat and deli products, selected and priced to suit every palate and pocket. We sell all cuts of meat, poultry and fish, from tasty lamb necks and succulent pork chops to lean dolphin and juicy top round steaks. Our deli items include turkey, ham, bacon, pork sausages, meat patties, chicken nuggets, deli ham and eggs, so that breakfast or that party is a breeze. And for your added convenience, we sell restaurant essentials and grocery items. So where's your next meal coming from? La Place Salazon, of course. La Place Salazon, Castries, Grosile, Vieux Fort, and Soufrière.
It's delicious.
Hello there, good morning, good afternoon, good night to our listeners and to our viewers in St. Lucia and across the globe. Welcome to What's on My Mind for today, Monday, the 24th of November. And my special guest today is independent candidate for Castries North, Marcellus Backsteed. As my special guest today, we're talking about his campaign, but mostly about his new book entitled Make It Count. So Marcellus, good morning. It's good to see you again.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm well.
Yeah.
How are things?
Let's make it count.
That's for sure. How are things with you? I'm sure your fans are interested to know how things are coming on.
I don't know about fans, but I know it's been a very strategic last 3 months. We've kind of got into the discussion of what we would like to see different done in our constituency, accountability, representation, and we've presented a plan for the constituency based on youth empowerment, taking a look at some of the issues that we have had in terms of what I consider lack of representation in the last more so 10 years, and taking the constituency to a different level. We are blessed if one of the strongest constituencies on the island in terms of infrastructure, in terms of we have 12 schools, in terms of we have a coastline, we have plans for the blue economy. We have so many gifts in Castries North, and we have to give Mr. King some credit. He has done a job up until I say 2020 or so, where I think it's time to take our constituency to another level.
Okay, so what's your feel? How do you feel, how the electorate term is going? And also, tell us about nomination day. That's important.
The nomination day process for me was interesting. As a virgin in the process, I made a few mistakes.
Like
I didn't have my thing notarized. So just a few little mistakes like that. But we got there. We had more than 6 people. We had hundreds that wanted to come, but we could only bring 6. So what we tried to do is that we got our people. We went there, and I took off from the Leclerc field, which is kind of where I started my whole campaign, talking about the field and the need for proper infrastructure in the community. So I met with Jason Sayers at the Leclerc field. We did a stretch. We were promoting fitness. So we ran from the Leclerc field to the comprehensive school. So I ran with Jason.
Really?
Yeah, and able to get there in good time. I think Jason is one of the top runners in St. Lucia. I was able to beat him, get there before him.
Is that true?
Just by a few steps. He was right behind me. I think he was taking easy.
I think it's been nice.
Yeah,
it's been nice.
Yeah. So we did a run, and we were able to get there, and we had a few little issues, but we got it. I met Mr. King. I didn't see the other. I met Mr. King and the other. There's another.
Did you all exchange pleasantries?
Yeah. He gave me a good handshake and told me, he'll roast some backs on. He'll have backs for dinner. I told him I was not afraid.
That's good. That's really cool, man.
Yeah, and then there was another lady, I can't remember her name, and I didn't meet the better Steve. I think he came earlier.
Yeah. Okay. All right. A couple of shows ago, when the PRO for the United Workers' Party was here, he was supporting you as far as the Freedom of Information Act. He says he supports you on that 100%, but he's convinced that you're still Labour in your philosophy and so on.
It's interesting. I asked him a question. I'd posed a question on when they were talking about the insurance policy. I posed a question to him, because this is the kind of politics I'm trying to push. This is what I want people to understand. We have to get away from the politics of the Mapui and just talking and the flags and the colors. We have to start giving people credible information for them to make a choice. And I thought he missed an opportunity. Instead, when he started talking, he could have expanded on how you're gonna fund insurance. We have a population of 180,000 people. You're trying to give them $75,000 worth of insurance. I thought he had an opportunity to expand on that. I worked in car rental for a long time in the States, so I posed the question deliberately on Facebook, and I actually put the answer on how to do it. But I'm not in UWP. That's not my job. I think he was supposed to. That's your policy. He's supposed to. One of the things I'm promoting is sports economics, and I'm promoting elderly fitness. I'm promoting education. I have MOUs signed with different universities. You can ask me any questions on any of that, and I can talk. I wrote a book on that. So that is where I thought the spider should have gone with it, instead of saying I'm Labour. There is no secret that I'm a member of the Labour Party. I don't think I've paid my dues in a while, but there's no secret I'm a member of the Labour Party. So to make a big deal about that, I don't think that's any. I joined the Labour Party in 1997.
But sorry, Marcellus, how do you reconcile something like that? You're an independent candidate and you're still a member of the Labour Party. Please explain so I can understand.
Mario Michel is my uncle. Mario Michel ran in 1997. I joined the party then, and I got involved in politics in terms of carrying people and bringing out Mario's message of youth and all that. So I got involved in politics, and I've been a member ever since. Now, do I agree with 100% of Labour Party policies? No. There are times where, I have a brain, I have a thing, I went to school. That is actually encouraged in my family. So I'm running as an independent. I have uncles that support me. I have uncles that, Wouldn't mind giving me a lash with a stick. But we have that kind of camaraderie and back and forth in our family. It's no big deal, you know. So, and again, my mother is a Porto Flabo.
As a layman, I can't wrap my mind around somebody who's kind of like, doing their own thing and at the same time expected to be loyal. I don't understand it.
No, it's the culture that has been created in our country of tribalism. That's all it is. And I am not part of that culture. I mean, I'm just not part of it. So, and the way I was brought up, if something is presented to you, right, that makes sense, you can challenge it. That's how I was brought up. I mean, the other day I had a meeting with Wally Downs. We're trying to get VBCC and a few things. And Wally Downs pointed out to me when he was president and I was a 14-year-old boy, I stood up to him in VBCC and had a back and forth in the club. And the older fellas were so happy that I did that. So, I mean, it is part of...
You don't think your height intimidated him at the time?
No, I wasn't that tall. I wasn't that tall. I was 14. So, I mean, it's just part of the culture of that... Whether it's VBCC, and that's one of the things that we promote in mentorship in young men. You can be disagreeable, you can be respectful, and have a difference of opinion, and that these are the kind of traits that you want to encourage with your young men in your community, where you can disagree on a point, because there's no one right way to get to, say, if you want to get to economic. Everybody in the society have a certain level of economic freedom and there's no one right way. We can do it different ways. It's just that politicians have in our country I have used this tribal thing, and they hide behind it. Especially the weaker ones, they hide behind it, they hide behind popularity, and they do not come on the ground and do the work and explain some of these policies to people in a clear way, in a simple way, and stop hiding behind the red and yellow. I think the country would be a lot better if a lot more politicians do that.
I understand exactly where you're coming from, Marcellus. Now that you've explained, let's hope that the Labour Party thinks just like you. All right.
And the United Workers' Party. We have two of them.
Well, I mean, you're not a member of the United Workers' Party. So I was speaking within that context. Okay, so Marcellus, before we'll get back into the politics thing, but I know you have your book, a very, very thick book, as a matter of fact, for our listeners and viewers. I don't know if the camera is facing in my direction right now. It's a thick book. Well done, Marcellus. Well done.
You can get it on Amazon.
Yes, and how much is the book, by the way?
It's $20 on Amazon, yeah.
Okay. So, for people who don't know about Amazon and how to go and do those things, how can you get the book?
I brought down a few copies. I had more than 100 copies, but I sold them already. So I guess I have to do that again.
You sold over 100 copies that you had the hard copy. Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And we were able to, one of the nice things about it, we were able to give one of the coaches, there's a young man in the community that does great work. He reminds me of myself. He's on that field every day with young fellas and working, and not just coaching, but he's also a mentor, and he is a former professional player. So we were able to give him a percentage of the proceeds from the book. So
already.
And I gave it when I gave it to him yesterday. I told him it is not for the team, it is for him. I had to make that point, because the first thing that came out of his mouth, I'm going to use this for my team. He has that kind of mindset. So I had to make the point that this contribution is for him, to show appreciation for what he's doing in the community, because I think he's indirectly saving a lot of lives. And people don't realize that when you have coaches like that in the community guiding these young men, they and staring that frustration that a lot of young men go through, 8 to 17, you might not even realize sometimes how that coach saved your life, because he's working, he's channeling the anger in a different place. He's channeling that anger into sport and he's keeping not that young man in a positive light, but sometimes he's keeping you and me in a safe way, indirectly. by doing that work. So I really appreciate Malik, what he does, and there are other coaches that we like to do stuff for. But as we go along, we'll make things happen.
Marcellus, as I said, bravo to you, and also bravo for ensuring that you gave the coach $1,000 from the sale of your book. You said you sold hard copies, about 100 so far, that the books are available on Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so while you're at it, you shall write mine to check. Sorry, to cash, please. Okay, I think you wanted me to read a paragraph from your book? Okay, folks.
Now I want to take a picture of you reading.
Yeah, I haven't read the paragraph he wants me to read as yet. I haven't pre-read it, so let me wish me all the best. Okay, this is from, I think, the chapter that speaks about the dignity test, I believe. All right, so here we go. I keep a simple test for every action from the rep's office. Does it lift dignity? If a resident, let's call her Miss Joseph, walks into the office about a blocked drain near her house in Vidbutay, the wrong response is, leave your number, we'll see. The right response is to pull out the ward map, mark the drain, ask for a photo on her phone, and log it with a ticket number. Give her a date, we'll inspect, a date will clear, and the name of the work supervisor. Post the job on the weekly Small Works That Matter board. Then, this matters, call Miss Joseph the day after the job and ask if water is moving. If it isn't, we return. Basically, I think that's what it is for this chapter. Yeah. So, Marcellus, let's just talk about the book then. Why did you write this book in the first place?
So there are two purposes there. So for example, the what you just read was how we would like to see our constituency structured.
Mm-hmm. I gather that much.
Currently, we have a lot of going to the minister, going to the sit-in for long hours. We want to get away from that. We want to be able to, and you will not, I'm not saying that you're going to eliminate that completely, but what we're trying to do is to put systems in place in Castries North where every person in the constituency have either access by digitally online. We have a drop box if there's a problem in the constituency. We have a map. We have what we call a scoreboard. And we use this scoreboard. Now, I get the scoreboard obviously from sports. You use the scoreboard as a guide to problems that are going in the constituency. So, for example, the drain that was blocked, the person logged a complaint, they drop it in the box, or maybe they log their complaint online. We're also going to have a map, an app for the people that use their phone a lot. So you log your complaint, and your complaint gets taken care of through a system. There's no back and forth going to the minister, going to see the minister. And these are some of the systems that we have designed and we have used. We use them in sports, and we will use them in our constituency in Castries North. The other part of the book, is the process of, I wrote about all the guys that have gotten basketball scholarships and their stories. So every person that got a basketball scholarship had a different story. So that's why the book is that thick, because one of my favorite stories in the book is a guy from Sufra named Darwin Joseph. And one of the reasons I talk about it shows the kind of leadership that I'm promoting. Darwin Joseph and I were fierce competitors when I played, and I came back to St. Lucia in 2000, early 2000 to Jump Carnival. I went down to Sufra. I saw him. He was taller and kind of a little bit built, and we ended up playing against each other. And I remember he improving so much. So there's a guy that we hated each other's guts back in the day. I mean, we've done miserable things to each other when we played. But when I came back in 2000, I saw him play. At that time I was going to grad school in Kansas. I didn't have the means to put together a scholarship, like the video and all the different camps and everything that happens to get a guy a scholarship. So what I did when I got back to graduate school, I drove to Park University. Now, Park University, I already had a relationship with the coach, Coach English, and that's what I talk about in the book. I drove there, I spoke to the coach, and I said, there's a guy in St. Lucia, I don't have anything on him, no tape, anything, but he is a representative. He is like me. He's playing like me. He has my moves. I want you to give him a scholarship. And we had a back and forth. Darwin ended up getting a scholarship to Park University. He had his own struggle. I wrote about it, but the point of it is the leadership and not holding grudges against people, not holding and just making an effort and opening a door for somebody. Darwin now, every Christmas he brings sneakers home. He has a book drive in Soufrière, so he's touching other young people's lives. So this is the kind of leadership that we're trying to promote in Castries North, and that's why the book is kind of thick, because we went into the process of Darwin Joseph getting into university, and I wrote about other people like Big Joe and Mervyn Leo and all the guys that got scholarships through our program.
Mm-hmm. So what's the aim of the book then? What would you like to come out of this?
So one of the challenges that when I decided I was going to get into the political fray, one of the criticisms was it's made all about sports, made just about sports. And so one of the things I took on was to try to figure out, I know I wasn't all about sports, but that was a open criticism. That's all he knows sports, because that's what people, but it's actually the opposite. So one of the things I did was,
but you speak a lot about basketball in particular.
I speak about basketball when people ask me about basketball, but because that's something I know I have been involved in, but there are other aspects to it. So for example, I signed an MOU with the university I went to, Emporia State University. So students now from Castries North or from St. Lucia in general can go to Emporia State University, the same university I went to, on scholarship, because myself and the university have a sign, a memorandum of understanding for students to go to university on scholarship. You don't have to be a basketball player. You don't have to run fast or jump high. All you have to do is take the SATs, which is the SATs is an American exam. It's kind of like CXC, it's math and English. So you take the SATs. When you get a particular score, you get scholarship. It's that easy. So one of the things.
Let's not underestimate what you've done there, right? How were you able to pull something like that off? I mean, that is huge for you to have that kind of influence with that university in the U.S. Now that St. Lucian students can get a scholarship if they have get a certain grade. So how did you do something like that?
Well, again, I went to university on a basketball scholarship, and it didn't, like I said, the book didn't happen, or these things didn't happen in a boom, a quick. These are a lot of small steps of. So I got to Emporia State University in like 1991. That's where I graduated from there. I was one of the top player there, and I've been helping young men get to university in Kansas and in Missouri over a period of time.
So how do you promote this, Marcellus?
What I did, I wrote to the president of Emporia State, and I told him I've been helping basketball players. I want to help students in general, and we had a back and forth we had several meetings. It didn't happen right away, and then they basically presented me for contract on how to get what they want and what they expect, the standards that they expect. So what we have to do now in Castries North or in St. Lucia is put the structures in place where we have after-school programs, which is what I've been trying to scale up. Anyway, we have after-school programs. We already have the schools in the community, so we have the after-school programs, and then we get students to take SATs, practice SATs after school, use teachers, use people in the community, use the club, use VBCC, use the Kaweli center, use all the centers that we have to get people taking SATs. And then when you get students taking SATs, you build a culture of that. Then you start having students go into passing the SATs. They now get in scholarship. they go to school on scholarship. And I mean, Emporia is a great university. I mean, you can study engineering, you could study medicine, nursing. I mean, you name it, economics. So imagine we talk about in the book the pipeline. We're creating a pipeline from, say, Vidbouteille Secondary School, SATs, go to university, you study environmental studies, you come back to St. Lucia, you're now fixing the Kaweli River because you're an engineer, or you get involved in stuff like that. So that's what I talk about, the pipeline. And
so have any students taken advantage of this offer, as far as you know?
I've just started promoting it. We signed it on November 19th. Like I said, it was a process to get in the MOU signed. And we also have a second MOU with Washburn University, that another player, a basketball player that got a scholarship, is pretty much doing the same thing with his university. And his MOU is pretty interesting too, because the way they treat St. Lucian students like they were like they were born in Kansas, so they pay in-state tuition even if they don't get a scholarship. So it's a very good program as well. All of it is on our website, and on we built a website. It's on the website, and it's on our Facebook page for people to get the information.
You know, historically,
it's nothing political.
Right.
You don't have to vote for me or like me, or you don't even have to like backs.
In fact, I was just saying that historically, when you have students going on these programs, in fact, I think was it last week, I think there are a group of students going to Morocco. That's a big deal. I mean, this is something that is all over the place. So, you know, the people know that the government is assisting students and so on in getting higher education. So how do you promote it? Because, I mean, people need to know what you're doing. And also another thing, can you do this independent of the government?
Well, I'm doing it independent of anything. So yes, it can be done independent. And I think winning the seat in Castries North, having that voice, that microphone, that not microphone, but that podium as a rep, because I don't want to be a minister, that rep, it gives you more opportunities to structure it and scale it. I mean, that's actually the goal of running. The goal is to be able to scale this. I've done it for a lot of kids. I've done it for my own children. I've done it for kids in the community. But to get it to scale, you have to be in that position where, you know, you can direct resources and you can direct personnel to make it larger. Because I think it's something that we can do throughout the country. But I think the baby step now is trying to do it as the rep for Castries North.
Okay, so let me ask you about the book again. What is the main message behind your book, Make It Count? What's the message?
The main message of Making It Count is getting involved. Too many of us, and we don't get involved in the society. We complain about things, and we just don't get involved. One of the things I've been talking about is the Freedom of Information Act. I think more people have to get involved in our society. More of the experts. People go to university, they come back, and they're afraid to talk. I mean, we have to break that culture. You have to be able to.
In fact, as you mentioned that, Marcellus, 2 weeks ago, I think you had the president of the Police Welfare Association stating exactly that police officers are afraid to talk.
Yeah, and that culture has to be. We have to get rid of.
Do you think there's justification for that, especially under this administration?
You know, I have no scientific data to say this administration is worse than the former administration. I have no data to go by that, but I know both of them play around with that. And I mean, the last one was messing around with whether it was the trust, or they both play these games because these are human beings and people try to protect their victory and they try to protect. So you have that. I mean, I've experienced it personally. But I've also worked with both parties in a positive way, but I've experienced it in a negative way as well. So you're dealing with human beings, but I think we have to create a culture. So the underlying message in Make It Count is people need to get involved. People don't need to be afraid to speak up about things. And like people keep saying, "Boy, you're brave, you're brave." It's not brave. It is a culture that you have to create for a country to develop.
But you don't
to
understand why
another
you don't understand why they make those comments, right?
Yeah, no, I do. I understand because I mean, again, we have a culture of if you support in one party, you get this. People attempt to silence you if you're not saying.
And Marcellus, we tend to think only of the politicians as the one trying to silence, but you have the followers who do the same
but
thing.
I mean, I take Philip J. Pierre for example. I give Philip J. Pierre some credit for that. I have criticized certain things about the Labour Party, and he came out and said, the man's an independent, he have the right to democracy. I have criticized Alan Chasney about particular things, the school, the sports academy. We've had different opinions on it, and again, I have never the two individuals. I've never had any problem with them individually. It's been like you say, it's other people in their circle that come at you.
Yeah.
But the two of them, Philip J. Pierre and Alan Chasney, I have criticized both of them. I've criticized Alan when UWP was in power on certain policies I didn't think was beneficial to St. Lucia. I've criticized the Labour Party the two individuals, I have no issues with them. But the pit bulls have a way of trying to bite you sometimes.
We'll get back to the Freedom of Information Act because this is really, really important. I just want to ask you a question about the book again. I mean, you're a family man, you're a businessman, okay, and now you enter the political fray. So I'm sure, time for you is kind of limited, and especially time to write a book. So tell me, how were you able to balance this thing and to get a thick book like this out? What was the process like?
I've kept
and by the way, is that like over how long? A few years you putting this together?
Yeah, I lived in Taiwan. From 98 to 2000, and the first I went out with. Yeah, I kept a journal. I had somebody encourage me to keep a journal because I had I'm a kind of an adventurous kind of fellow. When I travel, I was always traveling and doing things and taking trains to just about anywhere. So I was encouraged to keep a journal, and it's like one of these days you'll have information for a book. And so what I did, I've been writing things down and just keeping it. So in the summer when I decided to run, we decided I was gonna put a book out. I started working on it. So it's actually the information. I didn't write a book in 3 months. It's information that was collected since I want to say since the 90s.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. And did anybody assist you in putting it together?
Yeah. I had to get it published. I had to use a publisher in the US that.
Maybe that's the publisher calling you now.
Yeah, I had to use a publishing company in the US to edit it, and I ain't the rock all like I spell, so he had to correct my spelling.
Okay, so how many books would you hope to sell? And how many do you actually have?
Well, you can. It's an infinite number. I mean, as long as you go on Amazon, you can.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
I had a friend of mine. One of my friends bought a whole bunch of copies to help the campaign.
So, and Marcellus, one of the sad things about St. Lucia over the years is sadly the number of bookstores which have just disappeared in St. Lucia, and I think that is sad. I think the Seventh Adventist Church, they also had a bookstore. I don't know what's happening with that bookstore. I'm not too sure, but I remember in my younger days, a few years ago, I would go looking for books all over the place. There was a place there. Remember at we have the MNC drugstore right now? There was a bookstore there. What is that called again? Do you remember?
Sunshine Bookstore.
Sunshine Bookstore, right. I think that was a travesty.
One of our plans in Castries North, since we're talking about books, one of our plans to get people reading again is we're going to have, we have two mobile things. So we're going to have a mobile book drive in Castries North where we'll have a little panel van with books in it, like a mobile library, and we'll be driving around and sharing books in the community in Bois Patat, in Mondidor, and just sharing books So
that's a good idea.
That's one of our plans. We also have a mobile health clinic.
Make sure you come to the fourth lane.
Yeah, always there.
Not only on a Sunday.
Yeah, we have a mobile health clinic that we want to push that aspect, because 7% of our population in Castro is now for retirees, but of that 7%, 2% of them are just really in a dire straits, and they cannot get to the health center. They cannot get their medication. So we want to be able to, when we get in, we want to be able to have a mobile clinic and use that to get into some of these areas in Agard, in Bondidor, in Wapatat, and these areas to really reach some of these older folks.
Yeah, but it's really, honestly, as I said earlier, it's really sad that most of our bookstores have simply vanished. I think there's the Central Library is still there. That's about it. And maybe, I'm not too sure if anybody has any serious bookstore in St. Lucia. Maybe it could be the, advent of online books and this sort of thing. Maybe it has something.
Make It Count is also available on you can listen to it. You can go on Amazon and download you could also get it on a Kindle. So people read differently these days.
Okay, Marcellus, anything else about the book you want to mention to us?
Like I said, it's available on Amazon. Most of the proceeds we give it to coaches and people in the community, and yeah, it's an easy read. I mean, it's not anything. It's like we look at structures in the community, how we can use systems to make things happen in a community, and we also talk about in the book the schools, how we're going to use the schools in the community to develop economic empowerment and develop different systems for kids to make, young people to make money and get away from this, asking the minister and getting the minister. So
but you'd understand the thinking behind asking the minister. Basically, the minister wants you to know that I'm the one who's making it happen for you, which is good in terms of getting votes and so on.
I think that's a horrible cultural thing that we've pushed in the country. Ultimately, that the reason for getting into government is about service. We have to get away. It's not about the individual. It's not about the king. It's not about what you give up, your big job or whatever. It's about service. If you're doing this, you have to make this about service and just trying to help your community. And I think if we get that culture, we push that culture, we'll have better representation. We'll have people to realize that, okay, they've hit economies of scale and it's time for them to move on. This thing about being a lifetime politician where you're just figuring out how to win the seat, I think it's a horrible thing for the constituency.
But what if the people want you?
If the people want you, that's what they want. But sometimes people, the majority of people are silent because of the system that's been utilized to win the seat.
So let's talk about that now. And I know you're heavy on the Freedom of Information Act. Okay, tell us, does this act actually exist in St. Lucia, or you trying to push for that?
Okay, so in 2009, the OAS, Organization of American States, was assisting the OECS to get this act passed. So the act is written. So that it is written. You can download it. You can read it. I summarized it a few months ago on my page. It's available. What happened in 2009 is that then Prime Minister did not gazette it for whatever reason. I don't know. For an act to have teeth, or you have to put it in the Gazette. So if you take it and you'll debate it in Parliament and then you just stick it in a desk drawer, it serves no purpose. So we have a Freedom of Information Act, but it was never gazetted.
I see. So in effect, it's not in effect.
Yeah.
Okay, so just educate us then in terms of what it's all about. In brief, what is it?
So the basic thing about it. So let's assume like this hospital that we spend arguably $250 million, or when you take the economic aspect to it. We spent $1 billion and we don't have a hospital, right? Oh well, give Philip J. Pierre administration. He have completed the building and now it's in the process of being commissioned. So that'll take, I don't know how long that will take, but that is a process in itself. So if we had a Freedom of Information Act in 2009, the hospital burned down in 2011, you had the King administration would have been held accountable by people like yourself, the media, the let's say the Christian community, the church council, the bar association. I could have put a group together and just come and ask questions. So you could have had that where the people in the government in 2011, the King administration was held accountable because they spent $30 million and we have no idea how it was spent. We couldn't ask any questions. Then he then loses the election. You have the Kenny Anthony administration. Again, the same principle would have been applied to Kenny Anthony because he borrowed another $200 million. And again, there was no accountability. There's no Christian Council, Bar Association, Chamber of Commerce couldn't ask questions. They could ask, but if the government decide not to answer them, I mean, or play politics, there's no legal avenue to kind of go after the government. That's what the Freedom of Information Act does. So you had Stephenson King not saying nothing, borrow a bunch of money, Kenny Anthony, then he loses the election to Alan Chasney. Alan Chasney comes in. Again, no Freedom of Information Act. He's deciding he's going to build a whole new hospital. He does his thing. And then the politics of it is the box, it's this. We do not get credible information. There's no clear transparency. He spends another, I don't even know, $200-300 million. That's the whole point of it. We don't know the figure. Now there's he loses the election. We have Philip J. Pierre, a new administration. He's at least able to complete something, but now it's not commissioned. We waiting. We don't know. I mean, and we are in the process of spending close to economically $1 billion. The economic effect of if they say in 400 million, if you take 400 million and you sit it in a bank over a period of time, it becomes $1 billion. That's the economic effect of it. So that's why I use the figure 1 billion. We have spent $1 billion and we don't have a hospital. So that's where the Freedom of Information Act needs to be part of our development.
Okay, and I agree with you. So who will bail the cat? Who will be the ones to go up and to basically challenge whichever administration is in office to get information, albeit this is Freedom of Information Act is passed? Who will do that? Because even now, you see there's almost like a silence from certain quarters, right? Except for maybe you, all right? The opposition, maybe to some degree, you get a little, because there have been times the opposition, they're in here and they're complaining about certain things. And my response is, have you written the Prime Minister about that?
Or when you were there, did you do anything?
Exactly.
Well, that's where an independent candidate in this run would make a lot of sense. So, and you also have the thing with culture and followers. People sometimes do not want to start something, but if you have a person pushing for something, you'll have 2% of your population right away will say, yeah, that's a good idea.
Think so?
Yeah.
Because don't forget, you haven't addressed the mindset as yet. Keep that in mind, right? That you haven't addressed the mindset, and not only of the politicians we said earlier, the people too, right? Even if you have this Freedom of Information Act, they want to protect their MPs, their reps. That's the normal thinking. So how do you address that issue?
So there's a psychological study that has been done. Anytime you have a new idea, you have a 2% following of people. Like let's say a new movie comes out. Right away, 2% or new idea, 2% of people will in business, in the population will follow it. Then you have another 12% that will wait and see. You have another 12% that's saying, but that idea good. You have another percentage that's saying that as they just stand in and they will only follow when they are forced. So when you push a new idea, it doesn't happen right away. If the Freedom of Information Act is passed, and it's passed by independent candidate Marcella Steed, you will get 2% of the population saying that's good, and when we start changing the culture, we will get other parts of the population to follow. There will come a time in St. Lucia where that's just expected if we get it done. But you have to be able to get it done, and that's where we are now. We have to be able to ask government questions and get it into the culture. There'll be remember there was a time you couldn't ask a minister, you couldn't just flag a minister down and ask him a question, boy, you know? I mean, that
So
has changed.
You're saying we've come a long way.
We've come a long way.
Okay, let's look at the bastion of democracy and freedom and so on, the United States, okay? I was watching an interview with Donald Trump just on the weekend, and I think and she was referred to as the brave reporter, because it seems as though now, even the press now in the US, they're afraid to ask the tough questions. So I had this lady there from, I think, either NBC or CBS. I'm not too sure, one of them, either NBC, CBS. And she asked President Trump a certain question, okay? And I remember all the other reporters were there, and he was there. He said to her, first of all, who do you represent? And she said, well, I'm with either CBS or NBC. And he said, fake news, and don't you have enough respect to know that I have a special guest there, and to respect this guest and you come in with your questions and whatever. He just basically dissed the lady. As a reporter asking for information, and as I said, the bastion of democracy and one's ability to speak out and so on, treating her like that. And to make it even worse, her fellow reporters don't even take her side or walk out or something on her behalf. They're all there and they don't say anything. So I'm just saying, even in America, you have that issue, because she was asking a poignant question and he felt as though, hey, you're trying to embarrass me here, right? So imagine St. Lucia.
Here's the thing, and I'll tell you, even America is a 250-year-old country. We barely 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
So America will have bad presidents, but America had a president right after Lincoln, horrible, just worse than Trump, racist, everything. America will have bad presidents. Countries will have bad presidents. But when you have structures, you have institutions, you have
the courts.
You have the courts. You have a fighting chance.
I see.
Okay, So freedom of information is, for St. Lucia, will be something that will be in our culture, will be in our I give you an example. Let me don't lose my train of thought. I got to Viewfort sometime last week, and a fella said, "Boy, I heard you on Facebook talking about that freedom thing. We need that." So it gets into the language, it gets into, and then people get used to it. It is what we have to do. We have to take the first step, right? We cannot just say, "Boy, they're working in America." America goes through hills and valleys, So Trump will not be there forever, but the institutions that support democracy will be there, and that's what we need to create for our country. We're only 40. We were born in. We got independence in '79.
Mm-hmm.
We are young. A young country.
So you're saying that this Freedom of Information Act will have to be buttressed by other, systems, if you will, to keep
like I said, the
to
church,
keep the leadership
media,
in.
A lot of different people have to come and strengthen it. It's just legislation,
But don't forget, those people in St. Lucia we're talking about there, Marcellus, they also influenced by the politicians as well. Keep that in mind. So as I was saying, it's a whole change in mindset. It's from the top all the way to the bottom.
Well, and that's the fight, and that's why I'm running as an independent candidate in the next election. So on December 1st, I'm running under the symbol of House.
Mm-hmm.
people can come out and they can vote for an independent candidate to bring some of these issues out. You don't have to show no color. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to whine and dance. You don't have no flag. You can just come out, take your ID, go and vote for Marcellus Steed.
Mm-hmm.
He's running under the House. He has a plan for the constituency, right? He put out his manifesto today. I have a manifesto, you know. Castries North has a manifesto, and I've written down in Make It Count how to do some of these things. I'm not a novice. I'm 54 years old. I have worked in corporate America. I worked in St. Lucia. I've been a teacher. I've worked in the community, most importantly. And I understand the community from Kaweli. Like I said, I grew up jumping off the big rock in Kaweli and ending up going all the way down to Malabar, catching crabs. It is, I know the constituency, right? The other parts of the constituency, like I was in Boapatat a few nights ago. The young men in that area are dying for some structure and a plan, right? They want some structure and some plan, and some of the things that we talked about and we're going to do when is change the way we do things, and every part of the constituency will get representation in when I win this next January election.
Now I know it's good to be positive, Marcellus, but let me just ask you a question. If you do not succeed, will that be it for you? Or are you going to continue the fight?
The fight never stops. So the fight for better education, the fight to help young people get educated and do stuff in sports, it has never stopped for me. I mean, I
just want to ask you.
No. So it's not going to stop. I mean, I'm not. I own property in St. Lucia. I work for a family business. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not like some other candidates that are driving around in a rental car. I am here to stay. This is what I do.
That's not what I asked you. I asked you, if you are not successful, will you hang up your hat as a potential MP for the constituency, or will you still continue the fight?
But it's not a good question, because I'm going to be successful. I'm already successful. So to answer your question is, I'm going to continue the fight regardless of
whether you are vying for a seat or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
I get you.
Trying to win a seat is just part of a process.
Yes. Part
of a learning process. Marcellus did working in Castries North continues. I mean, my mother, right? My mother still passes out communion in the Anglican Church, and goes in the neighborhood. I mean, that's the culture I grew up in. My father does a book drive. I mean, he doesn't tell anybody that, but that is part of just how we grew up, you know. So, I like to answer that question is, I'm going to continue. I'm not gonna go play on my boat every weekend, and you know.
You'll continue one way or the other.
One way or the other, but we are winning.
Let me ask you something else. St. Lucia, the culture is the big truck and, maybe pum shots and things like that, and having a whale of a time. I kind of gathered, Marcellus, that you're not really into that sort of politics. So how do you plan to...
I'm into the pum shots, but I'm not into that politics. I like the pum shots. Yeah.
All right, because I've seen a lot of that over the last few weeks, right? You know, and people like St. Lucians like this sort of stuff. We love it, right? I like the drama about the politics. When I say the drama, the back and forth, and they may to be honest with you, I like that kind of drama. That's what I like about the politics. But in terms of those aspects of the campaign, how do you plan now to win the hearts of the people? Because they sort of expect you to do that sort of thing. The drinks and the food and this sort of thing. How do you?
Well, we're not doing that. We unapologetically, we're not giving money. We're not giving shirts. We might do. I don't know. Somebody donated some shirts. We might have some shirts. But here's what we're gonna do. I tell you what we're gonna do. We have a scholar. Make It Count. will give a $5,000 scholarship to people that come and register. We have had 50% no-show, people that just don't vote. They registered voters. So what we're going to encourage in this week, we have 12 schools in our constituency. We're going to do a scholarship drive for these 12 schools. So you can take your name and register. You don't have to even vote for me, but you could just register and you can win a $5,000 scholarship. If you're in primary school, your kid can get that scholarship money. If you're in preschool in Castries North, you can register and get that. If you're in secondary school, or if you're at South Louis, you can register and you can win this $5,000 scholarship that we'll give away on probably December 2nd or something.
So clearly, you're on another level.
Yeah,
okay?
we're not gonna.
But let me just bring your attention to something. The Labour Party and the United Workers' Party have been heavy on using the media and so on. Okay, you have social media, you have electronic media, and the Labour Party and the United Workers' Party have been using those two avenues heavily. So how do you compete against something like that?
Well, we've been walking the constituency, being out, talking to people. It's a harder way to politic, but like I say, we wrote a book. We on social media. We come here when we can. We use some of the mediums. I mean, some of the mediums are controlled by the political parties, and I think sometimes they're a little scared to have a little debate here and there, to have actual debate, because I think their candidate is fairly weak. So the way I compete is I do what I can. You can only do what you can, and like I say, we're gonna give a scholarship to Castries North, people in Castries North. We have 12 schools in our constituency. All of them can participate in it. You don't have to vote for me. It's just a process. You come, you put your name in the box, and you can win a $5,000 scholarship.
Well, I must admit, unless of course they're using other mediums, but you have the Castries Central independent candidate. What's his name again? The lawyer, former Speaker, President of the Senate. I'm forgetting his name right now. You have, of course, Mr. Stevenson King, Richard Frederick.
Stevenson King is not an independent.
So, hold on. I'm just going to make a point. I haven't really heard anything in terms of marketing and their campaign. I don't know what's going on with them, to be honest with you. Apart from one public service announcement that Mr. Richard has, it's part of the Labour Party campaign. I haven't heard anything. And Stanley Felix I was talking about. So unless, of course, they're using some other medium, some other media house, but I haven't heard anything much. So I guess you're in sort of good company.
Well, I can talk about Make It Count. I don't know about these guys in Central. I can talk about Make It Count and our constituency.
No, I'm talking about in terms of using the media and so on.
In terms of using the
because
media.
I'm telling you, the Labour Party, the United Workers' Party, they have been heavy, real heavy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these machines have money, and coming here, going on some of these shows and advertising, it costs money. It's not. It's not cheap. Not free. It's not cheap.
Especially if you're using multiple sources.
And you're using multiple sources. So, again, we do what we can. We use social media a lot. I've come here as much as I can. But
okay, all right. So, are you going to be visiting us again before the elections, or all this week you just be on the ground doing your thing?
Hopefully, we'll see how it works out. If we can fit in another interview, that would be great. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see how that can work out. Yeah. Okay. So, Marcellus, before we leave, anything you want to mention, especially about your book, Make It Count?
Again, Make It Count. Very easy read. Courts, classrooms, and Castries North, how we create this pipeline to get youth empowerment, to take care of our elderly, and it is available on Amazon. And it's also available in audio. If you don't want to read, you can listen to it. Yeah. And on December 1st, I'm running on the symbol that I was given is the house.
So you can't choose? You're given a symbol?
Well, the electoral office give you a bunch of choices.
Oh, and you chose the house.
For me, it was between the house and the cock, or the rooster. So I chose the house. Or the spoon.
Yeah. Not many great choices left. They actually are a rooster.
Yeah, a rooster. That was my choice, but my team was like, nah, stay with
I agree.
So we're running on the house. We're using the house. And yeah, so when you come in there and you look Marcella Steeds, and under the house we have a foundation. We have a foundation of accountability in this house, right?
The guys at the electoral office, these guys are thinking inside the box, man. Monsieur a rooster.
That's not. We are running on the house. We're using the house. And under the foundation of this house is accountability, right? If you look in the window, you'll get representation. The roof will be, the solid roof will be sending students to university and sending students in our after-school program and creating that pipeline. We're going to have a strong pipeline in the house. So everything about our thing is strength and empowerment, right? Okay,
Marcella. So thank you very much. As you said, we may see you again before the 1st of December elections day. All right? So thank you. This has been What's on My Mind. My special guest today, independent candidate for Castries North, Marcellus Backsteed. And he's my special guest today. And we're talking about, of course, the whole politics issue and him running for Castries North. But more importantly, his new book called Make It Count. All right? So this has been What's on My Mind with the compliments of La Place Salaison, Lazarus Funeral Home, Susie's Variety, and Europa. Let me just let you know that we'll take a little break from Facebook, etc., because we have Hard Drive coming up in just a moment.
Ho, ho, ho. I had a dream that I, Santa, will be giving away amazing gifts this Christmas at Europa.